The sky over New York City changed one morning. A massive silver ship appeared, floating above the clouds. It was bigger than any human ship and brighter than the sun. People on the ground stopped whatever they were doing and looked up. News reporters shouted on live TV, "An alien ship has come." Inside the ship was Princess Zara of the Nixilian Empire, a powerful race known across the stars for their beauty, strength, and advanced technology. The Nixilians were famous in the galaxy. Many planets feared them. Many more wanted their friendship. Now they had come to Earth. World leaders rushed to the landing site. Presidents, kings, and prime ministers arrived in their best clothes. They stood in lines, waiting for the alien princess to step out. Each of them hoped to make a deal with her, maybe even form an alliance. Finally, the ship's door opened. A bright, smooth platform came down. There she was. Princess Zara walked down the ramp in her shining silver armor. She looked young and strong. Her long, dark hair moved gently in the wind. Her eyes were sharp and calm. Everyone stared at her beauty and grace. But Zara didn't look at the powerful leaders. She didn't smile at the cameras. Instead, she looked past the crowd, toward a man standing far behind. His name was Daniel Carter. Daniel was not a leader. He was not a soldier. Wasn't rich or famous. Daniel was a simple human engineer. Worked on the landing field, checking wires and fixing machines. Wore a plain jacket and carried a small tool bag. He wasn't even supposed to be near the landing zone, but his boss had asked him to check a signal tower before the alien ship arrived. When Zara's eyes met his, Daniel froze. He looked left and right, wondering if she meant someone else. But no, Zara was looking right at him. The world leaders noticed. They turned to see who had caught the princess's attention. Whispers started among the crowd. Who is he? A worker. Why is she looking at him? Zara walked forward. Her steps were soft but strong. People moved aside, shocked and confused. Daniel's heart beat fast as the alien princess stopped. In front of him, she tilted her head slightly and spoke in perfect English. "You are Daniel Carter?" Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came out. After a long second, he nodded. Yes." Zara smiled gently. "I am Princess Zara of Nigilia. I would like to speak with you." Daniel blinked. "Me, but I'm just a technician." Zara's smile didn't fade. "That is why I want to speak with you." The crowd behind them went silent. The world watched this moment on every screen, on phones, on TVs, everywhere. The mighty alien princess was talking to a simple human. Worker. Daniel looked around. The presidents and kings looked angry. Guards whispered into radios. Reporters stared wide-eyed. Daniel swallowed hard. He didn't know why this was happening, but he could feel that this was real. Zara spoke softly, so only he could hear. "I have met many leaders, many warriors, but I want to know someone who speaks honestly, someone who does not pretend." Daniel felt confused, and a little curious. He nodded again. "I guess I can try." Zara smiled brighter this time. "Good." She turned and faced the shocked crowd. With a clear voice, she said, "I will be spending time with Daniel Carter." The leaders gasped. Reporters shouted questions. Some guards even reached for their weapons. But Zara raised her hand calmly. "I have come to learn about this world, and I choose to start with him." Daniel felt everyone's eyes on him. His hands shook a little. He whispered, "This has to be a dream." Zara looked at him again, her eyes soft and kind. "No, Daniel, this is the beginning." And just like that, the alien princess walked. Beside him, past the leaders, past the cameras, and stepped into a new chapter neither of them could have imagined. Daniel sat on a wooden bench inside a quiet garden. The garden was part of the alien ship, full of strange glowing plants and soft blue trees. The air smelled sweet, like flowers after rain. Zara had invited him here, away from the noisy leaders and cameras. Daniel still couldn't believe it. Just this morning, he was fixing wires on the landing field. Now he was sitting beside the most powerful alien princess in the galaxy. Zara sat across from him. She had removed her silver armor and now wore a simple white dress. Her long hair fell over her shoulders. She looked almost human, but her sharp eyes stayed the same, deep, thoughtful, and watching him closely. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Daniel shifted nervously on the bench. He wasn't a talker. He fixed machines, not made friends with aliens. Finally, Zara broke the silence. "You look uncomfortable." Daniel gave a weak smile. "Well, it's not every day a space. Princess talks to a guy like me." Zara nodded slightly. "Why do you think that?" Daniel shrugged. "I'm no one special. I fix things. I follow orders. That's my life." Zara tilted her head. "Do you enjoy it?" Daniel blinked. "Nobody ever asked me that before." He thought for a moment. "I guess I do. I like solving problems, making things work again. It feels good when something broken starts working because of me." Zara smiled. "That means you are special." Daniel chuckled softly. "I don't think fixing wires makes me special." Zara leaned forward a little. "In my world, most people care only for power and glory. They fight for attention. They chase fame. But you do simple work with a full heart. That is rare." Daniel felt his face warm. No one had ever said something like that to him. Zara asked gently, "Do you have family?" Daniel nodded. "My mom and little sister. They live in Boston. Send the money when I can." Zara listened carefully. "You care for them?" Daniel gave a soft smile. "Of course. Family is everything." Zara looked down at her hands. "I wonder what it feels like to have a family like that." Daniel frowned. "You're a princess. Don't you have family?" Zara gave a small, sad smile. "I have a royal family, but they see me as a tool, a name, not a person." Daniel stayed quiet, unsure what to say. Zara looked up at him again. "That is why I noticed you. You were not trying to impress me. You were just you." Daniel met her eyes. For the first time, he saw the loneliness behind them. Even a princess could feel alone, I guess. "We're both kind of different in our worlds," Daniel said softly. Zara nodded. "Yes, that is why I wanted to speak with you." They sat quietly for a while. The soft light of the garden made everything feel peaceful. Finally, Daniel asked, "So, what happens now?" Zara gave a gentle laugh. "We talk, we learn, we walk in this garden, away from cameras, away from leaders." Daniel smiled. "That sounds nice." Zara stood up and held out her hand. "Then come, let us walk." Daniel hesitated, then took her hand. It felt warm and soft, just like a human's. They walked slowly among the strange trees. Zara asked him questions about Earth, about simple things like music, food, and animals. Daniel told her about his favorite songs, The Taste of Pizza, and how he once rescued a stray cat. Zara listened with real interest. She laughed softly when Daniel shared funny stories. She looked amazed when he spoke of his mother's kindness. And Daniel, he started to relax. Talking to Zara felt easy, like talking to an old friend. Hours passed like minutes, but far away, outside the ship, things were not peaceful. Leaders of Earth watched the news with worried faces. They didn't like that the alien princess had chosen a common man. Feared losing control, they whispered plans to each other. Some said, "This Daniel must be forced to leave her." Others warned she might be using him for a hidden plan. But none of them knew the truth. Inside the garden, Zara and Daniel were just two people, slowly starting a friendship that would change both their lives. As they walked, Daniel said softly, "Why me, Zara? Really?" Zara stopped and looked at him. "Because you make me feel like myself." And in that moment, under the soft light of alien trees, Daniel realized this wasn't just a meeting. This was the start of something special. The news spread across the world like a storm. Alien princess chooses human engineer as companion. Every TV screen, phone, and news site showed the same headline. People everywhere talked about it. Some cheered, thinking it was a story of hope. Others were angry, asking how a simple man could be important to the powerful alien princess. In secret rooms, world leaders met with serious faces. They sat around large tables, speaking in low voices. They didn't like what was happening. The President of the United States spoke first. This, Daniel Carter. He's just an ordinary man. He's not trained for this. He's not a leader. A king from Europe added, Princess Zara's choice makes us look weak. Not her friendship with a common worker. Another leader said sharply, we must ask her to change her decision, for the good of Earth. They all agreed. A message was sent to the Nixelian ship. We request a special meeting with Princess Zara regarding her companion. On the ship. Zara received the message. She read it quietly. Daniel stood nearby, feeling nervous. Do you want me to leave? Daniel asked softly. Zara looked at him with calm eyes. No, I will face them. Daniel wasn't sure if that was a good idea. I'm not sure they want me there. Zara smiled gently. That is why you must come. The next morning, in the grand meeting hall of the alien ship, Earth's leaders arrived. The room was large and bright with walls of shining crystal. Zara stood in the center, dressed in her royal armor, tall and proud. Daniel stood beside her, wearing simple clothes, just a jacket and clean shirt. He felt out of place among the powerful leaders. The president spoke first. Your Highness, we respect you, but we believe your choice of companion may not be wise. Zara listened without emotion. And why is that? The president said carefully, Daniel is not trained for politics. He has no experience. He might become a target, the queen added. We are concerned about your safety and the future of this alliance. Daniel felt the eyes of every leader on him. He wanted to disappear. But before he could speak, Zara raised her hand. I understand your concerns, she said calmly. But I did not come to Earth for politics. I came to meet its people. And Daniel is one of them. Ow! A loud whisper moved through the room. Zara continued, I have met kings and warriors, have seen power and greed, but Daniel, he showed me honesty and kindness. Her voice grew firm. He did not seek my attention, did not wish for fame. So that is why I trust him. Daniel felt a strange feeling inside, part fear, part pride. The president tried again. Princess, this could bring problems for both our worlds. Zara looked straight at him, or it could bring understanding. The leaders didn't know how to answer. Finally, Zara said in a clear, strong voice, I have made my choice. I stand with Daniel Carter. Silence filled the hall. Daniel looked at her, shocked. She stood beside him like a shield unafraid, unshaken. The leaders whispered. Among themselves, some nodded. Some frowned, but no one dared to challenge Zara directly. After the meeting, Daniel walked with Zara through the ship's halls. He let out a long breath. That was scary. Zara smiled softly. You did well? Daniel shook his head. Didn't even say anything? Zara stopped and looked at him. You stood by me. Sometimes that is enough. Daniel gave a small smile. You really don't care what they think, do you? Zara nodded. I care about what is true, and you are true. They walked on together. Outside the ship, news of the meeting spread quickly. Some leaders were angry, but stayed quiet. Others began to see Zara's choice in a new light. People on Earth started talking differently. A boy in a small town said to his friend, if a simple engineer can stand with a princess, maybe we all can do something great. A girl in another city said, maybe being honest is better than chasing power. Slowly, the world started to change. On the ship's balcony that evening, Daniel and Zara watched the sun set. The sky was painted with orange and gold. Daniel said softly, I don't know where this is going. Zara answered, Neither do one, Daniel. Smiled. But I'm glad I met you. Zara smiled back. And I'm glad I chose you. The wind moved gently around them. For now, they didn't need to know the future. They had this moment. And that was enough. The days after the grand meeting were peaceful on the outside. But in the shadows, trouble was growing, far away from Earth. Inside a hidden room of the Nixelian ship, a group of alien nobles gathered. They wore long, dark robes in golden, symbols of power. They were known as the High Circle, powerful leaders from Zara's homeworld. One of them, Lord Varen spoke in a cold voice. "The princess has shamed us all, choosing a human. A weak common man. This must not continue." Another. Noble Lady Sira nodded. "She risks the honor of our empire. She risks everything." A third noble said sharply, "We must act. If she will not leave him, we will remove him ourselves." They all agreed. But they didn't plan to harm Zara. No, they would target Daniel quietly, secretly. That night, Daniel walked alone in one of the ship's lower halls. Zara was attending a meeting with Earth scientists. Daniel had gone for a quiet walk to clear his head. The ship's halls were silent, the lights soft and cool. Daniel didn't notice the shadow moving behind him. Suddenly a hand grabbed his arm. Another covered his mouth. Daniel struggled, but the figures in dark robes were too strong. They pulled him into a side chamber and locked the door. One noble leaned close and whispered, "You will leave the princess, or you will never see the light again." Daniel's heart pounded, tried to speak, but the noble tightened his grip. Another noble spoke in a hard voice. "You are nothing but a human. You do not belong by her side." Daniel stared at them, fear rising in his chest. But then, a soft voice echoed in the room. "Let him go." The nobles turned sharply. Princess Zara stood at the door, calm and silent. Her eyes glowed with quiet anger. The nobles froze. Zara stepped inside. "I warned you before. No harm will come to him." One noble tried to speak, "Your Highness. We only wish to." Zara's voice cut through the air, sharp and clear. "Enough." Her hand moved slightly on the door behind her, sealed shut with a soft hum. Zara walked toward Daniel and gently pulled him away from the nobles. She stood between him and them. "If you ever touch him again," she said quietly, "you will answer to me." The nobles stayed silent. Zara looked at Daniel. "Are you hurt?" Daniel shook his head, still catching his breath. I'm fine." Zara nodded. Then she turned back to the nobles. "This is your last warning." With a wave of her hand, the door opened. The nobles left, their faces pale, their pride broken. Later, in the quiet garden, Daniel sat on the soft grass. Zara sat beside him. For a moment, they didn't speak. Finally, Daniel whispered, "Why would they do that?" Zara looked at the sky. "They believe I must follow the old ways. They fear change. They fear a future where power is not everything." Daniel sighed. "I'm just a human, Zara. I don't want to cause trouble." Zara turned to him, her eyes soft. "You are not the cause of trouble. Their fear is." Daniel looked down. "I don't want you to be in danger because of me." Zara placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "You stood by me before the leaders of your world. You did not run, and I will not run either." Daniel met her eyes. A quiet strength passed between them. They both knew. This bond was now deeper than just friendship. They trusted each other. And trust, they both learned, was stronger than fear. Meanwhile, in the dark corners of the ship, the nobles whispered again. "She will protect him now," one said. "We must be careful," another warned. But they didn't stop plotting. They would wait for another chance. The next morning, Zara and Daniel walked on Earth again, this time in a quiet park far from the crowds. They talked about small things, flowers, birds, old songs. Zara laughed when Daniel tried to teach her how to skip a stone on the water. For a while, it felt like they were two normal friends enjoying a peaceful day. But deep inside, they both knew. Dark clouds were still gathering in. The shadows, enemies still watched. But they also knew one more thing: they were ready to face whatever came, together. The sun rose slowly over the quiet hills of Earth. Daniel and Princess Zara stood on a grassy hill, watching the golden light spread across the sky. They had come here early, before the world woke up. No cameras, no leaders. Just the two of them, Daniel. Took a deep breath of the fresh morning air. "It's peaceful here," he said softly. Zara nodded. "Yes, no guards, no questions. Just peace." They stood side by side in silence. For the first time since they met, they felt truly free. For the next few days, Zara and Daniel traveled to different places on Earth. They visited a small village where children played in the streets. Zara smiled when a little girl gave her a flower. They walked through a crowded market where Daniel bought her a simple bracelet. Zara wore it on her wrist with pride. They ate fresh bread at a street shop, and Zara laughed when Daniel spilled sauce on his shirt, wherever they went. People smiled at them not as a princess and her companion, but as two friends exploring the world. One evening, as they sat by a calm lake, Daniel asked quietly, "Why did you really come to Earth, Zara?" Zara looked at the water, her reflection, soft and still. "My people sent me to make alliances. They wanted me to choose powerful leaders, strong warriors." Daniel waited as she spoke, but when I met them, Zara continued, I saw only greed and fear. They smiled with their lips, but not with their hearts. Daniel nodded slowly. "And me?" Zara smiled gently. "You spoke with your heart. You didn't try to impress me. You didn't pretend." Daniel felt a soft warmth inside. He looked down and whispered, "I never thought I'd meet someone like you. Someone who trusts me." Zara placed her hand over his. "And I never thought I'd meet a human who trusts me." For a moment, they just sat there, feeling the quiet bond between them. But the peace didn't last. One morning, a message came from the Nixelian Empire. A voice spoke coldly on the communicator. Princess Zara must end her bond with the human, or face exile. Zara read the message aloud to Daniel. Her voice remained calm, but Daniel saw the shadow in her eyes. Daniel stood up, worried. "Want you to leave your people? Because of me?" Zara nodded. "They believe I am making a mistake. They think I have forgotten my duty." Daniel shook his head. "This is my fault. I should have stayed away." Zara stood beside him and took his hand. "No, Daniel. This is not your fault. I chose this." Daniel met her eyes. "But you'll lose everything." Zara smiled softly. "Maybe I will lose a title, but I will not lose myself." That night, as the stars shone brightly above them, Zara sat beside Daniel on the ship's balcony. Daniel spoke softly. "Are you afraid?" Zara looked at the stars, a little. "I know what I believe." Daniel whispered, "I believe in you." Zara smiled. "And I believe in you." For a moment, the fear and the pressure of the world disappeared. All that remained was trust, simple and strong. The next day, a great council was called on the Nixelian ship. Nobles, leaders, and even some humans gathered in the grand hall. Everyone waited to hear what the princess would decide. Zara walked into the hall with Daniel beside her. The room grew silent. One of the Nixelian nobles stood up. "Your Highness, we demand your answer." Zara stood tall and spoke clearly. "I choose Daniel Carter." The hall filled with shocked gasps. Zara raised her voice. "I will not leave him. I will not leave Earth. If that means I lose my title, then so be it," the nobles shouted. Some called her a fool. Some warned of punishment. But Zara stood calm and strong. Daniel felt his heart pounding. He wanted to speak, but Zara gently held his hand, giving him strength. Finally, an elder Nixelian noble stood up. She was quiet and wise. She looked at Zara and said, "Perhaps we have been blind. Perhaps this bond is not a weakness, a strength." The hall grew quiet again. The elder looked around and said, "Maybe it is time for change." Slowly, a few nobles nodded. A few humans smiled. The world was starting to shift. Later that evening, Daniel and Zara stood alone on the ship's balcony again. Daniel looked at her and asked, "Did we really do it?" Zara smiled softly. "We didn't win a battle. We opened a door." Daniel smiled back. "To a better future?" Zara nodded. "To a better future." The wind moved gently around them. They didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but they knew this. Their trust in each other had changed everything, and together, they were ready for whatever came next. The grand hall of the Nixelian ship stood silent. Thousands of eyes, humans and aliens, watched the stage where Princess Zara stood beside Daniel Carter. This was the moment. The High Council had called the final meeting. It was time for Zara to make her choice. Once and for all, the eldest Nixilian noble, Lady Mira, stepped forward. Her voice was calm but firm. "Princess Zara, you may keep your crown. If you end your bond with the human now, if you do not, you will lose your title, your command, and your place among us." The hall waited. No one spoke. Daniel felt his heart beating fast. He looked at Zara, ready to tell her to let him go. But Zara gently squeezed his hand. She turned to the crowd and spoke clearly. "I have made my choice." Everyone leaned forward, waiting. Zara took a deep breath. "I choose Daniel Carter. I choose freedom. I choose to follow my heart, not the chains of old rules." The hall filled with loud gasps. One noble shouted, "You will bring shame to our people." Zara looked straight at him. "No, I will bring them hope." Her voice rang through the hall. "I have seen Earth. I have walked with its people. I have learned that kindness and truth are stronger than fear and power." Hand tighter. "And I believe in a future where we are not ruled by fear." For a long moment, the hall stayed quiet. Then, something happened that no one expected. A young Nixilian guard stepped forward and said softly, "I believe." In her words, another voice rose from the crowd. "So do I." One by one, voices from both humans and aliens spoke out. "We believe in her. She's right." The council members looked around shocked. Lady Mira, the eldest noble, gave a small nod. "Perhaps this is the change we feared, and the change we need." Zara gave a soft smile. Daniel looked at her with amazement. He whispered, "You did it?" Zara smiled at him. No, she thought we did it together. In the days that followed, everything started to change. The Nixilian Empire sent a message to Earth. We open our hands in friendship, not in power. For the first time in history, humans and Nixilians began to work together not as rulers and followers, but as equals. New programs started. Scientists from both worlds shared knowledge. Students visited each other's planets. New friendships grew, and standing at the heart of it all were Daniel and Zara. One sunny morning, Daniel and Zara walked through a city park on Earth. People smiled at them as they passed. Not with fear or with fame, but with simple kindness. A little boy ran up to them and said, "Are you really friends?" Daniel smiled and nodded. "We really are." Zara knelt down and said softly, "Do you know what makes a real friend?" The boy shook his head. Zara smiled. "A real friend stands with you, even when the world stands against you." The boy smiled and ran off to play. Daniel and Zara walked on together that evening. As the stars appeared in the sky, Daniel and Zara sat on a hilltop. The world around them felt calm and safe. Daniel looked at the stars. "Do you ever miss your title?" Zara shook her head gently. "I never lost it. I gave it away for something greater." Daniel smiled. "What's greater than being a princess?" Zara looked at him and said softly, "Being free, and having a friend who stands by you." Daniel felt a warmth in his heart. "You'll always have me." Zara smiled, "And you'll always have me." They sat together in the soft night air, knowing that no matter what came next, they had each other, and that was enough. The story of the princess and the human became a tale told across two worlds, a story of courage, of friendship, of trust, and of standing up for what is right. It was the story of two hearts who chose each other when everyone else wanted them apart, and in that choice, they changed the universe.